Hi, I'm Brennan Bardowski, and I'm here with my brother Justin Bardowski for an interview about diversity. I chose my brother for this interview based off of the numerous amount of countries he's been in and cultures he's been a part of. So, first off, Justin, what does diversity mean to you?
I would say diversity is a wide variety of different ways of thinking, different backgrounds, different beliefs, different ways of life, um, all living in the same place at the same time.
Okay, so how have you experienced this definition you have of diversity, and how have you been a part of different, cultures and experienced different diversity?
I would say the biggest way you experience diversity is right here in America. Not so much in our part of the country, but in other parts of the country. America is known for having a wide variety of many people from different races, ethnicities, belief systems, religions. And we accept all people in this country. So I think the biggest way you see diversity is in your typical big American city. But I've also seen it from the other side, being a part of a culture where I was in the minority, where the way of life of the majority of the people that live there is drastically different from my own, in countries such as South Africa or Afghanistan or Pakistan, where the majority of the people there live very differently than we do.
So, can you give an example where a time you were in a diverse culture and you experienced something much different than your own, and you had to, respect that, and you've experienced, a time where you've respected a different diverse culture?
Yeah, I'd say there was a number of ways uh, in living in Afghanistan where you have to gain a respect for their culture. Just a few examples would be, they have a prayer call that goes up at 5:30 every morning or whenever the sunrise happens to be, and you just have to get used to that and respect it. That's their way of life. Um, you are not allowed to, if you're in a Muslim person's house in Afghanistan, you're not supposed to talk to or communicate or even look at the females of that household. It's considered disrespectful to the men, so you have to get used to that. Just staying away from the women out of respect for their belief system. You're never ever supposed to offer your left hand in shaking somebody's hand in Afghanistan. And there's just a number of little ways where their belief system and their traditions are just far different than ours. And out of respect for them as human beings, I think it's important while we were there that we just kind of adapted to their cultural norms.
And as you mentioned before, it's important for us to have a healthy respect for diversity, in all different cultures we'll experience in our lifetime. Can you say how diversity and having respect for that has a positive effect on a society?
Yeah, I think any society that respects and even promotes diversity is going to be a good society to live in because it allows you to be, your truest self, your truest version of who you are as a human being, as opposed to a society that might force you to believe a certain religion or force you to conform to a certain way of life. I think societies that respect diversity and have a lot of it are usually the ones that tend to thrive because people are allowed to be their true selves and not forced to conform or they're not told how they need to think or feel.
Okay, and then for my last question, can you share a story or a memory of the time you recall most experiencing diversity in any of the areas you've been in over your life?
Yeah, I'd say being on the one culturally diverse experience I had was in South Africa. The little village that I stayed in, worked in, was called Mpumalanga. And when I first got there, I was riding in the back of a truck, and as we were pulling into the village, people were running to the side of the road and waving their hands and cheering like I was some kind of celebrity. And I asked the guy that was with me, I was like, what's going on here? And he said, you're literally the first white person most of these people have seen. So that was kind of like an eye opener. What it's like for minorities, who live so different than the way most people live. It just kind of helps you see things from both sides of the spectrum.
Okay, so altogether from everything you've mentioned in this interview, we can gather that diversity is present. There's diversity everywhere you go. Even as you mentioned, there's not much in Marinette Menominee. There is diversity here. So it's a real thing, and it's a big part in our world and something that we have to learn to cope with.
Yeah, exactly. Diversity is going to be everywhere you go, no matter what. There might be less of it in some places than in other places, but diversity will be everywhere, whether it's people's religion or just the way that people choose to dress, or the way people talk, or the way people look. There's always going to be diversity, and I think the most important thing is having a respect and a real appreciation for diversity, an appreciation for the fact that we're all different and we all have our own unique mindset as individuals.
All right. Well, thank you, Justin.
Thank you.